Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi announces centre to repeal all three farm laws in upcoming winter session of Parliament. Appeals to protesting farmers to call off agitation and return home. Government to form committee to promote zero budgeting based agriculture and make minimum support price more effective and transparent, says Prime Minister. Farm unions and opposition parties welcome centre's decision to repeal farm laws. Prime Minister to launch multiple initiatives to boost country's defence sector at Rashtra Raksha Samarpan Parv at Jhansi in Uttar Pradesh. Over 115 crore 23 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine administered in the country so far. Depression over Bay of Bengal crosses coast between Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Met Department predicts heavy rains in isolated areas across Tamil Nadu. Guru Nanak Jayanti being celebrated with religious fervour in the country and abroad. Prime Minister greets people on Prakash Parv and Dev Deepavali. 52nd International Film Festival of India all set to kick off in Goa tomorrow. And in cricket, India to lock horns with New Zealand in second T20 International in Ranchi this evening. As India created history by administering over 100 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers, and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said the government has decided to repeal all 3 farm laws. Addressing the nation this morning, Mr. Modi announced that the laws will be repealed in the upcoming winter session of Parliament. He said the 3 laws were for farmers' benefit, but the government could not convince a section of farmers despite best efforts. He appealed to protesting farmers to call off their agitation and return to their homes.
आज मैं पूरे देश को ये बताने आया हूं कि हमने 3 कृषि कानूनों को वापस लेने का, रिपील करने का निर्णय लिया है। इस महीने के अंत में शुरू होने जा रहे संसद सत्र में, इसी महीने में हम 3 कृषि कानूनों को रिपील करने की संवैधानिक प्रक्रिया को पूरा कर देंगे। साथियों, मैं आज अपने सभी आंदोलनरत किसान साथियों से आग्रह कर रहा हूं, आज गुरु पर्व का पवित्र दिन है। अब आप अपने अपने घर लौटे, अपने खेत में लौटे, अपने परिवार के बीच लौटे। आइए एक नई शुरुआत करते हैं, नए सिरे से आगे बढ़ते हैं।
The Prime Minister said the goal of the 3 farm laws was to empower farmers, especially the small farmers. Mr. Modi said whatever he did for farmers. He said what he is doing is for the country. The Prime Minister said with the blessings of people, he never left out anything in his hard work. He assured everyone that he will now work even harder so that the dreams of the countrymen and the nation's dreams can be realized. The Prime Minister also announced an important initiative for the agriculture sector. He announced the formation of a committee to promote zero budgeting based agriculture to change crop pattern as per the changing needs of the country and to make minimum support price more effective and transparent. The committee will have representatives of the central government, state governments, farmers, agricultural scientists and agricultural economists. During his address, Mr. Modi highlighted his government's measures to benefit small farmers.
छोटे किसानों की ताकत बढ़ाने के लिए 10,000 एफपीओ किसान उत्पादक संगठन बनाने का अभियान भी जारी है। इस पर भी करीब 7,000 करोड़ रुपए खर्च किए जा रहे हैं। माइक्रो इरिगेशन फंड के आवंटन को भी 2 गुना करके 10,000 करोड़ रुपए कर दिया गया है। हमने क्रॉप लोन भी 2 गुना कर दिया, तो इस वर्ष 16 लाख करोड़ रुपए हो जाएगा। अब पशुपालकों को, मछली पालन से जुड़े हमारे किसानों को भी किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड का लाभ मिलना शुरू हो गया है। यानी हमारी सरकार किसानों के हित में हर संभव कदम उठा रही है, लगातार एक के बाद एक नए कदम उठाती जा रही है।
The Prime Minister said he has experienced difficulties and challenges of farmers from very close quarters in his 5 decades of public life. He said to ensure that farmers get the right amount for their hard work, many steps were taken.
देश की 1,000 से ज्यादा मंडियों को ई-नाम योजना से जोड़कर हमने किसानों को कहीं पर भी अपनी उपज बेचने का एक प्लेटफॉर्म दिया और इसके साथ ही देश भर की कृषि मंडियों के आधुनिकीकरण पर भी हमने करोड़ों रुपए खर्च किए। साथियों, आज केंद्र सरकार का कृषि बजट पहले के मुकाबले 5 गुना बढ़ गया है। हर वर्ष 1.25 लाख करोड़ रुपए से अधिक कृषि पर खर्च किए जा रहे हैं। 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए के एग्रीकल्चर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फंड के माध्यम से गांव और खेत के नजदीक भंडारण, इसकी व्यवस्था, कृषि उपकरण जैसी अनेक सुविधाओं का विस्तार, ये सारी बातें तेजी से हो रही है।
The Prime Minister said the government not only increased minimum support price but also set up record procurement centres. He added that procurement by his government broke the record of past several decades.
बीते 4 साल में 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए से अधिक का मुआवजा हमारे किसान भाई बहनों को मिला है। हम छोटे किसानों और खेत में काम करने वाले श्रमिकों तक बीमा और पेंशन की सुविधाओं को भी ले आए। छोटे किसानों की जरूरतों को पूरा करने के लिए सीधे उनके बैंक खातों में 1,62,000 करोड़ रुपए ट्रांसफर किए, सीधे उनके खाते में। साथियों, किसानों को उनकी मेहनत के बदले उपज की सही कीमत मिले, इसके लिए भी अनेक कदम उठाए गए। देश ने अपने रूरल मार्केट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को मजबूत किया। हमने एमएसपी तो बढ़ाई है, साथ ही साथ रिकॉर्ड सरकारी खरीद केंद्र भी बनाए। हमारी सरकार द्वारा की गई उपज की खरीद ने पिछले कई दशकों के रिकॉर्ड तोड़ दिए हैं।
The Prime Minister said the government worked to provide farmers with seeds at reasonable rates and facilities like micro-irrigation and 22 crore soil health cards. He said such factors have contributed to increased agriculture production.
The 3 farm laws of Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020, Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance, and Farm Services Act 2020 and Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020. The bills were passed by the Parliament during the monsoon session last year. The Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act permits the sale of agricultural produce outside the mandis regulated by the Agricultural Produce Marketing Committees, APMC, constituted by different state legislations. The Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Services Act provides for contract farming. The Essential Commodities Amendment Act deregulates the production, supply, distribution of food items like cereals, pulses, potatoes, onion, and edible oil seeds. Agriculture and Farmer Welfare Minister Narendra Singh Tomar today said the constitutional process to repeal 3 farm laws will be completed in the Parliament session that begins later this month. He said to improve the condition of the farmers, 3 agricultural laws were brought in the country. The minister reiterated he is grateful to many farmers' organizations who welcomed and supported the farm laws. Mr. Tomar said to overcome the challenges of the small farmers of the country, the present government worked all around with facilities like neem-coated urea, soil health card and micro-irrigation.
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है कि जीरो बजट खेती हो, एमएसपी हो और क्रॉप डाइवर्सिफिकेशन का विषय हो, इन सब पर एक समिति बनाई जाएगी। इस समिति में केंद्र सरकार, राज्य सरकार, किसान, वैज्ञानिक, अर्थशास्त्री, ये सब उस समिति में रहेंगे। यह समिति एमएसपी को प्रभावी और पारदर्शी बनाने की दिशा में अपनी रिपोर्ट देगी। आज प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो निर्णय किया है, यह उनके बड़प्पन, संवेदनशीलता का परिचायक है। मैं इस ऐतिहासिक निर्णय के लिए प्रधानमंत्री जी का हृदय से धन्यवाद करता हूं।
Farm unions, opposition parties and several state chief ministers have welcomed the centre's decision to repeal the farm laws. Bharatiya Kisan Union leader Rakesh Tikait said the union will wait for the day when the farm laws will be scrapped in Parliament. He said the government should talk on other issues of farmers as well, besides minimum support price. Sanyukt Kisan Morcha also welcomed the government's decision. In a statement, the Kisan leaders said they will wait for the announcement to take effect through due parliamentary procedures. Kisan leaders across the country were delighted with central government's decision and reacted to the announcement by Prime Minister on Guru Nanak Jayanti by distributing sweets. More details from our correspondent.
At the epicenter of Kisan agitation in Ghazipur border, not very far from Parliament, farmers celebrated Prime Minister's announcement with Kisan Jindabad slogans. Some were seen dancing, others were distributing jalebis. Farmers, those who were agitating for 11 months, welcomed the repealing of the 3 farm laws, saying better late than never. While opposition leaders congratulated to every single farmer who fought relentlessly, Agriculture Minister emphatically reassured the farmers that government's priority always farmers' welfare. Prime Minister's announcement came today when Sikhism founder Guru Nanak's birthday is being celebrated across the country, and Prime Minister won everyone's heart with 2 simple words: I apologize. Saubhagyakar, Air News, Delhi.
A farmer from Pilibhit in Uttar Pradesh termed it as a bold decision by the government.
आज प्रधानमंत्री जी ने किसान बिल वापसी का निर्णय लिया है, वो बहुत ही प्रशंसनीय है। किसान भाइयों के द्वारा 1 बरस से जो बिल वापसी की लड़ाई लड़ी जा रही थी, उन सभी किसान भाइयों के चेहरे पर खुशी की लहर है और हम प्रधानमंत्री के इस साहसी कदम की प्रशंसा करते हैं। ये कदम किसानों के हित के लिए है। किसान भाई आज गर्वान्वित हैं और अपने आप को गौरव महसूस करते हैं। इस साहसी निर्णय के लिए प्रधानमंत्री को धन्यवाद करता हूँ।
Welcoming the Prime Minister's decision to repeal the 3 farm laws, President of Janata Dal Secular, H.D. Devegowda, said he salutes all the farmers who put up a democratic resistance against the laws. Mr. Gowda said debate and discussion is the key in a parliamentary setup. Former Chief Minister of Punjab, Captain Amrinder Singh, thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for acceding to the demands of every Punjabi and repealing the 3 farm laws on the pious occasion of Guru Nanak Jayanti. Captain Amrinder also expressed confidence that the central government will continue to work for the development of the farmers. Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik said the government's decision is in the best interest of the country and its farmers. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin and Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, in their message, wholeheartedly welcomed the union government's decision. DMK MP Kanimori, in a tweet, termed it as a great victory for democracy. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi in a tweet said repeal of farm laws is a victory of Satyagraha.
Export of products of agricultural and processed food products Export Development Authority, APDA, have witnessed nearly 15% surge during April to October this year as compared to the same period last year. The overall export of APDA products increased from over $10,150 million in April to October last year to over $11,650 million in the corresponding period this year. This rise in exports has been achieved notwithstanding COVID-19 restrictions. Ministry of Commerce and Industry has said the significant rise in agri exports is seen as a testimony of the government's commitment to increase farmers' income. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi announces centre to repeal all 3 farm laws in upcoming winter session of Parliament, appeals to protesting farmers to call off agitation and return home. Government to form committee to promote zero budgeting based agriculture and make minimum support price more effective and transparent, says Prime Minister. Farm unions and opposition parties welcome centre's decision to repeal farm laws. Prime Minister to launch multiple initiatives to boost country's defence sector at Rashtriya Raksha Samarpan Parv at Jhansi in Uttar Pradesh. Over 115 crore 23 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine administered in the country so far. Depression over Bay of Bengal crosses coast between Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Met Department predicts heavy rains in isolated areas across Tamil Nadu. Guru Nanak Jayanti been celebrated with religious fervour in the country and abroad. Prime Minister greets people on Prakash Parv and Dev Deepavali. 52nd International Film Festival of India all set to kick off in Goa tomorrow. And in cricket, India to lock horns with New Zealand in the second T20 International in Ranchi this evening. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मार्च नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मार्च नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will launch multiple initiatives today to boost the country's defence sector at Rashtra Raksha Samarpan Parv, which is being held at Jhansi in Uttar Pradesh as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations. To give a thrust to Atmanirbhar Bharat in the defence sector, Mr. Modi will formally hand over indigenously designed and developed equipment to Armed Forces Service Chiefs. The Prime Minister will also lay the foundation stone of 400 crore rupees project at Jhansi node of UP Defence Industrial Corridor. More from our correspondent.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's today's handing over of indigenously designed and developed equipments to armed forces is a big step towards Atmanirbharta in defence sector. These equipment, including handing over of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited designed and developed light combat helicopter, drones, UAVs designed and developed by Indian startups, and DRDO designed and Bharat Electronics Limited manufactured advanced electronic warfare suit for naval ships. The deployment of Indian UAVs by Indian Armed Forces is also a proof of growing maturity of the Indian drones industry ecosystem. The advanced electronic warfare suit will be used in different naval ships including destroyer. This is Gaurav for AR News, Jhansi.
The Prime Minister will also inaugurate multiple projects at Mahoba district in the afternoon. These projects will help alleviate the issue of water shortage in the region and bring much needed relief to farmers. The cumulative cost of these projects is more than 3,250 crore rupees.
More than 115 crore 23 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. India reported over 11,000 new cases to the last 24 hours. The ministry said the recovery rate is currently at 98.28% and it is highest since March last year. Government has said that over 123 crore 55 lakh vaccine doses have been provided to states and union territories so far through centres free of cost channel and through direct state procurement category. The Health Ministry said more than 22 crore 66 lakh balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and union territories to be administered.
The Indian Meteorological Department IMD has said the depression over Bay of Bengal crossed the coast between Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh early this morning. The system crossed the coast between Chennai and Puducherry. The Met Department has predicted heavy rains in isolated areas across Tamil Nadu during the next 24 hours, followed by a gradual decline in rainfall in certain areas. Fishermen have been advised not to venture into the sea for another 6 hours as sea conditions will be rough. Meanwhile, in a rain-related incident, 9 people died in Tamil Nadu in a building collapse at Pernambat in Vellore district this morning. According to the district administration, 2 teams of National Disaster Response Force personnel will carry out rescue and relief work at Vellore district, where 230 people are stranded due to floods. India International Trade Fair IITF opened for the general public from today at Pragati Maidan in New Delhi. It will continue till the 27th of this month. The first 5 days of the trade fair were exclusively reserved for business. Bihar is the partner state, whereas Uttar Pradesh and Jharkhand are the focus states. The timings of the fair are from 9:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. The tickets can be purchased from customer care centres of 65 metro stations. For Divyang and senior citizens, the entry will be free.
Guru Nanak Jayanti has been celebrated with religious fervor across India and the world today. It marks the birth anniversary of the first Sikh Guru, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who laid the foundation of Sikhism. Also known as Prakash Utsav or Guru Parav, the day is one of the most important occasions for the Sikh community. This year marks the 552nd birth anniversary celebrations. On this day, devotees around the world offer prayers. The Golden Temple in Amritsar celebrates Guru Parav with much aplomb. The day is also marked as Kartik Purnima. It has been celebrated in different parts of the country with religious fervor today. The day also coincides with Dev Deepavali. In Uttar Pradesh, ghats of the holy rivers are brimming with pilgrims reaching for the auspicious bathing on the occasion. Preparations are also in full swing for the celebration of Dev Deepavali at Varanasi and Chitrakoot. Addressing the nation this morning, the Prime Minister extended his greetings to all on the occasion of Dev Deepavali and Prakash Parav. He said it is a matter of happiness that Kartarpur corridor has been reopened after a gap of 1.5 years. The Kartarpur corridor allows Sikh pilgrims to travel visa-free to the Kartarpur Gurdwara in Pakistan via the Atari-Wagah border, reopened after a 20-month gap.
आज देव दीपावली का पावन पर्व है। आज गुरु नानक देव जी का भी पवित्र प्रकाश पर्व है। मैं विश्व भर में सभी लोगों को और सभी देशवासियों को इस पावन पर्व पर हार्दिक बधाई देता हूं। ये भी बहुत सुखद है कि 1.5 साल के अंतराल के बाद करतारपुर साहिब कॉरिडोर अब फिर से खुल गया है। साथियों, गुरु नानक जी ने कहा है, बीच दुनिया सेवी कमाइए तो दरगिही बेसन पाइए, यानी संसार में सेवा का मार्ग अपनाने से ही जीवन सफल होता है। हमारी सरकार इसी सेवा भावना के साथ देशवासियों का जीवन आसान बनाने में जुटी है। न जाने कितनी पीढ़ियां जिन सपनों को सच होते देखना चाहती थी, भारत आज उन सपनों को पूरा करने का भरपूर प्रयास कर रहा है।
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi today paid tributes to the great warrior queen Rani Lakshmibai on her birth anniversary. The Vice President and the Prime Minister also paid tributes to former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi on her birth anniversary.
As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events is being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
November 19th is the birth anniversary of the great freedom fighter Rani Lakshmibai. Born as Manikarnika Tambe on 19th of November 1828 in Kashi, she was fondly called Manu. Since her childhood, she started learning about using weapons. She became proficient in horse riding and fencing under the guidance of Nana Sahab and Tatya Tope. In 1842, Manu was married to the king of Jhansi, Gangadhar Rao. After the marriage, she got the name Lakshmibai.
In 1851, she gave birth to a boy who was named Damodar Rao. The child passed away when he was just 4 months old. 2 years later, Raja Gangadhar Rao and Rani Lakshmibai adopted a child named Anand Rao, the son of Raja Gangadhar Rao's cousin. He was renamed Damodar Rao on the day before the Raja of Jhansi died. Lord Dalhousie, the then British Governor-General of India, did not recognize Rani Lakshmibai's adopted son as the heir of Jhansi and enforced the doctrine of lapse to annex the kingdom.
She revolted against this and cried out, "मैं मेरी झांसी नहीं दूंगी." She took the reins of Jhansi into her own hands and protected the city. Rani Lakshmibai was one of the leading figures of the 1857 War of Independence. She decided to join the revolutionary forces and began training an army in the state of Gwalior.
The British troops attacked Gwalior in June 1858. Rani Lakshmibai led a counter-charge, clad in the attire of a man and mounted on horseback. She was struck by bullets and fell. In accordance with her last wish, she was placed on a pile of dry grass and cremated, unseen by the enemy and untouched by the shackles of slavery.
Her tomb is in the Phool Bagh area in Gwalior. Khoob ladi mardani, wo to Jhansi wali Rani thi. The epic line from the poem Jhansi ki Rani, written by Subhadra Kumari Chauhan, sums up how she fought valiantly against the British Empire and left an indelible mark on Indian history.
November 19th is also the birth anniversary of the freedom fighter, the first female Prime Minister of India and the daughter of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Priyadarshini Gandhi. She was born on November the 19th, 1917 in Prayagraj district of Uttar Pradesh. Indira Gandhi's childhood revolved round the freedom struggle as her whole family was actively involved in it.
She would frequently see her grandfather, Motilal Nehru, sent to jail. Similarly, her father was jailed for more than 15 years for his role in the freedom movement. Since her childhood, she actively involved herself in the freedom struggle. In 1930, she founded Vanar Sena of Children to help the Congress Party. She was imprisoned in September 1942.
Mrs. Gandhi worked in riot-affected areas of Delhi in 1947 under Gandhiji's guidance. Later, as the Prime Minister, she played an important role in the liberation of Bangladesh in 1971. Under her Prime Ministership, India carried out a peaceful nuclear test in Pokhran on May the 18th, 1974. She introduced numerous pro-poor programs. India's self-sufficiency in food owes to the Green Revolution that Indira Gandhi mentored. She was awarded the Bharat Ratna in 1972.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Best wishes to all consumers for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hallmark ensures purity of gold. Always purchase hallmarked gold jewellery. For any consumer-related complaints, please contact National Consumer Helpline toll-free number 14404, issued in public interest by Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India. Jago Grahak Jago. The 52nd edition of the International Film Festival of India, IFFI, is all set to kick off tomorrow with a glittering opening ceremony. The organising heads of the Mega Film Festival announced yesterday in a curtain-raiser press conference that the opening ceremony will be hosted by filmmaker Karan Johar and actor Manish Paul. Martin Scorsese and Istvan Sabo will be honoured with Satyajit Ray Lifetime Achievement Award.
In cricket, India will take on New Zealand in the second T20 encounter in Ranchi today. The match will begin at 7 p.m. India registered a 5-wicket victory over New Zealand in the first T20 match in Jaipur on Wednesday. Now let us take a look at the weather update for the day. The national capital Delhi is expected to record a minimum temperature of 11 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 26 degrees. Jammu, Srinagar, Gilgit, Muzaffarabad will have mainly clear sky. In the northeast, Guwahati, Imphal, Shillong, Aizawl, Kohima, Itanagar and Gangtok will have clear sky.
And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi announces censure to repeal all 3 farm laws in upcoming winter session of Parliament. Appeals to protesting farmers to call off agitation and return home. Government to form committee to promote zero budgeting based agriculture and make minimum support price more effective and transparent, says Prime Minister. Farm unions and opposition parties welcome Centre's decision to repeal farm laws. Prime Minister to launch multiple initiatives to boost country's defence sector at Rashtra Raksha Samarpan Parv at Jhansi in Uttar Pradesh. Over 115 crore 23 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine administered in the country so far. Depression over Bay of Bengal crosses coast between Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Met Department predicts heavy rains in isolated areas across Tamil Nadu. Guru Nanak Jayanti being celebrated with religious fervour in the country and abroad. Prime Minister greets people on Prakash Parv and Dev Deepavali. 52nd International Film Festival of India all set to kick off in Goa tomorrow. And in cricket, India to lock horns with New Zealand in second T20 International in Ranchi this evening. And with that, we end the midday news.